Greetings, chess players, and welcome back to the free winter break chess camp. Above me, you see that is Coach Jay, and today we are doing that aforementioned. We're going to do a lesson and then a Kahoot party. This should be absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Coach Jay. Take it away, sir.
Thanks, Coach Chris. I appreciate it. Thanks, and Happy New Year to everybody. A little bit early already. They're celebrating the New Year on in places like Indonesia and stuff. So if you are tuning in from there, well, I'm surprised you're not at a party, first of all. But I guess nobody's at a party this year. Surprised you're not hanging out with your family, but that's okay. I'm glad you're here joining us, this chess family, for our New Year celebration. So today we're going to be talking about check. And you're like, well, Coach Jay, we know what check is, right? Check's, that's when you're aiming at the king. But check is an important subject in chess because it's a very forcing move. It's a very tempting move. We all want to play check, right? It's like check. It makes us feel powerful or something. It also, we always get this impression in our mind that as long as we're putting our opponent in check, that we're the one that is in control of the game. But that's not quite true, is it, Coach Chris?
Not necessarily. Yeah.
So check can definitely be something where you're pushing your opponent around, but it can also be a huge mistake to put your opponent in check. Let's have a look at this position that was played by one of my students just a couple months ago. And Calvin was white in this game, and he has a queen, a rook, and a pawn against a queen, knight, and bishop, which is pretty close to equal material, pretty close. Black has a slight advantage. If we do our counting, then we don't have to count the queens. We see that white has one extra pawn, and white has an extra rook, so that's 6. And then black has the knight and bishop. Remember, if you were here last week, we talked about that secret that knights and bishops are actually worth a little bit more than 3. They're like 3 1/4. So that together, a knight and a bishop, is about 6.5. And so black has a slight advantage here. But Calvin played a move, and all of a sudden his advantage, his game went out the window and he loses. He played the check. So Calvin's white here, and he says, what can it hurt to play a check? He goes up check, just like this. And when he plays that check, his opponent has only one move, simply moves out of it, and suddenly Calvin realizes that his opponent's next move is going to be knight c3 and then checkmate. And this is really hard to defend. And they're even immediately threatening queen to c3 checkmate. So this is the immediate threat. And if you push the pawn to give the king breathing room, then it's knight over and mate. And so Calvin was in trouble. He tried to save the day. I think he played a3, and then, yeah, the knight came in, and it was game over. And if he had played queen d1, then queen c3 was checkmate. Instead of playing a check, which moved his queen out of position, he should have just played queen b2. And now he holds down the fort, and he still has a tough game, but he's not losing immediately. So we get really tempted to play these checks. Let's look at another game that was played. Oh, go
Excellent,
ahead,
excellent example, Coach Shea. That was a, usually when we play a check, sometimes our opponent can interpose and we lose time, or we're forced to do a bad trade. But in this case, playing check, we lose the game. Yeah, good example.
Yeah, that was rough. But we love to play check, right? And so here, a student was playing against one of the coaches in a simul, and he had made it all the way to the end game. And black actually has a slide, the kid playing against a coach. And he plays his check. Okay, that's not bad. He plays this check. Okay, yeah, not bad. He's forking the king. What do you think? Let's see. Well, this is probably a good move. He could capture the pawn here. He could take the b2 pawn. Also looks like a good move. Is this a good time for a check? What do you think, Coach Chris? Play another check here?
Um,
Does it
no,
help?
no,
No,
not a good time for a
no,
check
but
at all.
no, it's not. Alex couldn't resist.
Oh
He couldn't
no.
resist, and he plays another check, which does two bad things. It gets his rook off of that great second rank where it was attacking all those pawns that hadn't moved yet, that were unprotected, and it forced the coach to move his king exactly where he wants to move him, closer to the center of the chessboard. Remember, in the end game, your king becomes a fighting piece. You can think of your king like a tornado. Now, tornadoes, they don't go like super fast as they move across the land. Maybe they're going 12 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour or something like that. Something, I mean, they wouldn't even get a ticket if they were driving in a school zone. But a tornado, as it goes, it just destroys and controls everything in its path. And as a king walks into the center of the board, all those squares he's touching are part of that king's domination. And so a few moves ago, that king was attacking just these three squares that aren't even important at all. But as he moved across the board, now he's attacking more central squares and more squares. And of course, Alex, playing black here, plays, you guessed it, another check. And he says, okay, what can I do now? So he repositions his rook so he can play another check. So yes, that's exactly what he does. And another check, pushing the coach's king right next to his pawn. Finally, he takes a pawn, but that's only so that he can play one more check and give away his pawn there. And of course, the coach went on to win the game. He has passed pawns now on the A and B file. While black was busy playing checks, white was busy gobbling up pawns in this endgame. All right.
Another excellent example. First example, playing check, you lose the game automatically with checkmate. Second example is the more common theme in playing bad checks, and that is by playing check, you're actually helping your opponent. In that case, you were helping his king get to where he wanted to be.
And that's so common, Coach Chris, in the end game, where inexperienced players, they play a lot of checks, and the king just loves to be in the center. So if you're checking him, you're actually helping him out. And sometimes if you play a check, you're missing an opportunity to trap your opponent's king first, which might make your check even more powerful. It could be even checkmate. So here we see, if you play the check, not only does it push your opponent's king towards where he wants to go, towards the center, but you're missing a huge opportunity. And I bet, Coach Chris, in your chat that you are seeing that players are typing in the correct answer that white should
Let's go ahead
here.
and ask that. What do you guys think white should play here? This is another kind of classic situation we see a lot as chess players. Rook and pawn endgames. Rooks are the last of your pieces to get in the game usually, and you start with 8 pawns. So you usually end up with a rook and pawn endgame. It's the most common kind of endgame, and this is a very, very common theme. What do you think white should do? What should white's move be? Go ahead and type it in, and I'll call out your name.
Yeah, this requires patience, right? You have to actually make a bigger threat than simply playing a check.
Yeah.
And I know it's tempting. I know it's tempting to play the checks, but it's just not always a good move.
You who got it, and Saravan Silvaraj got it. Adriana Garcia sees it. They're saying pawn to c6, Coach Jay.
Wow, they're right. Nice job. Pawn c6 it is, and that traps a black king before you play this check. And now when you play the check, it's not just check. It's actually checkmate. So black can't even avoid the mate by pinning your rook, because you can just take it and then come right back and then play checkmate. So it's a bad situation for black. All right. Nice job, guys. Now, this one's a very common opening thing in the two knights, is that you go up for your fried liver attack, your opponent attacks here, and a lot of young players play bishop takes check because they want to stop their opponent's king from castling. So they'll go check. Ha, you can't castle anymore. Okay, that's good, but now you have a little problem because your bishop is guarded by your knight and your knight's under attack. And so when you move the knight away, you lose your bishop. And stopping your opponent from castling is an important thing, but is it worth giving up a bishop for a pawn? Usually not. Obviously, there are situations where it is valuable, but here the best move would have been just to take with the knight. Even though it's not a check, you're going to now be able to win the rook after they move the queen. Now, sometimes we see that check is used because our opponent's king is somewhere that we don't want it to be, and we have to push their king away. Here, the rook plays the check to push our opponent's king away. Check is a very forcing move, and that will allow our king to be able to come out and into the action. Of course, this is a famous position called the Lucena position, and which we're eventually able to build a bridge between the king and the rook and block off your opponent's rook. But that's pretty advanced. We'll get to that one later. Now, Coach Chris, this one is a tricky one because we're often tempted to play the closest check that we can, which would be queen to e8. In this position, white's losing. Black has 2 extra pawns, and black's threatening check, and then after the king moves into the corner, checkmate. What I like to call a cheek face mate. But white can get a draw by a perpetual check. Now, hopefully, a lot of you guys have gone to my Chess Hoots YouTube channel and watched all of the videos about the different rules of the game, including castling, pawn promotion, en passant, and the different ways that you can have a draw. And one way to get a draw is by repetition. And that means you're going to have to go back and forth to the same position 3 times. Black doesn't want to do that here. White does want to do it, so white has to force black to do it. And white does that with what's called a perpetual check. Perpetual means it just keeps going and going and going. So here, white plays the queen out to c8, because if you go to e8 check, the king comes out, and then the queen comes back check, but a pawn blocks it, and you're out of luck. Instead, watch this. Check, 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 check. Now the pawn blocks, and then you can capture at f7. Ah, your queen was on the right square. Instead of being back on e5, you're on, or an e4, you're on f5. Check, 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 check. And you repeat this position 3 times for the draw. So playing check, sometimes the question is, should I play the check? Yes or no? And sometimes the question is, which check should I play? In this case, there is only one check that holds the draw. Now, check can also be a move that helps you buy time. Look at this pawn. Is there any way you can possibly catch this pawn before it becomes a queen? You might think no, but check out this knight. He comes running over here, and he buys a move by playing a check. The pawn can't promote. Black's in check, and now the knight makes it back in time. So we saw that it looked like there was no way the knight could do it. The king is pretty close, but the king is not close enough. The knight, because he can play a check, picks up a tempo, we call it, picks up a free move. All right, so now we're going to skip a couple and get to this position. In this position, we are going to pick up a tempo by sacrificing the knight. This king is trapped. He can't go to any of these squares. He can't go to any of these squares. The rook is guarded by the pawn. So he's wide open on the d file. We just need to bring our rook over before our opponent gets a queen. Yowza, they're about to get a queen. So we give away the knight, check, and then that buys us a time to come over and play the mate. So sometimes a check can buy us a move and give us an extra tempo. I wanted to show you this position because this check has a special purpose. It's to stop black from castling. So rook to e1 down here at the bottom, the rook comes over, check, and now they're not going to give away their queen, but they'll move their king, and now they're not able to castle after that. And that's an important idea a lot of times, especially if you have a lead in development and your opponent is behind. Okay, now we did see this position earlier. I'm going to go back to this. Check buys us or pushes that king to a bad square. He's either going to move away from the pawn and we can take it, or he goes in front of it, and now we come back to here. So notice if you just stopped here right away, they could promote and get a new queen. We could take it, they take back, king against king, that's a draw. But by playing this check, now you can push the king where you want him to be and get back to this position. And now you'll take the pawn for free. This is an excellent example of what's called a Zwischenzug, or an in-between move. Your rook wants to come to h8 and go after this dangerous pawn over here. And if you don't go over there, black's going to put their rook behind that pawn and win the game. But take your time, think about it. If you just move your rook to h8 right away, the black king is going to invade, and this is going to be trouble. So you make a pit stop, or this little Zwischenzug along the way. Check, pushing the king back, then you go over to h8. So even though we didn't go to h8 right away, we didn't have to worry about black's rook getting to h7 because our move was a check, our little pit stop. Zwischenzug is German, it means in between. And so it's an in-between move. And this is another one where we push our opponent's king to the right square. We could take this rook for free, but then the king actually is going to run and hide out here. So instead, we stop, check, pushing their king to a square he doesn't want to go to. Notice the bishop guarding f8. So he's either going to the corner or he's going to block it. If he goes to the corner, of course, we just get to take and then a back rank checkmate there. And same thing's going to happen if he blocks with the rook. We take check and then checkmate. But that first check that we played was important to not let the king escape.
Hold on one second, Coach Jay. I want to answer one question. Serena Wang, earlier in the lesson, Coach Shea did show us one or two examples where it was not a good idea to play a check in the endgame. But to answer your question, it's actually very common at theme in the endgame because a lot of times we want to move our rook to the 7th rank to keep our opponent's king from coming into the center of the board, to keep them from becoming active. And by not playing the check, by playing rook to f7 or whichever 7th rank move it is, we're keeping our opponent's king in the 8th rank. Whereas if we played rook to f8 and said check, then their king would start running toward the center of the board. But good question, Serena.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I would say that playing checks is definitely something that a lot of young players are guilty of. They play a check when it's not a good idea to play it. And so you have to be really careful about doing that, especially in the end game. But earlier in the game as well, you'll see that just a check that your opponent can easily block is sometimes no good. So here, this is actually a concept I saw in an Emery Tate game. And in this one, you have two possible checks, pawn takes pawn check or rook to e8 check. And you'll be surprised to find that the correct one is to give away your rook. After the king takes, the pawn takes back, and now there's no stopping. You can promote here. So sometimes check deflects your opponent. And in this one, we're going to see the king deflected or attracted to a bad square. White wants to play rook to e8 checkmate, but the king is too close. So white gives away the queen, dragging the king over there for the back rank checkmate. And the power of check, we see it in this position where black's queen is guarding against the safe promotion. The pawn is in danger, but white plays check, forking the king and the queen. And black says, okay, I got you. Now you're going to get your new queen, but then I'll start checking you like crazy. And he says, nope, I'm going to get a knight and get you in check. And now white should be able to win this game easily with the extra pawn on the queen side to create a passed pawn that will attract the black king to that side, and the white king will come over here and take this pawn. So remember, the first passed pawn that you create usually doesn't become a queen. It usually distracts your opponent. to a different side of the board so that you can go create a queen on the other side of the board. Okay.
Wow, those
Uh,
were some stunning examples you went through fairly quickly there, Coach Jay, and that's great because students, this is one of those lessons you're going to want to watch again. I'm telling you that
yeah.
right now. This is one of those lessons you're going to want to watch again because you're gonna notice new things the second time through. Because
I,
sometimes you're still processing what you just saw, and every one of these positions is just exquisite. Thank you
I,
so much, Coach Jay, for this collection.
Yeah, you bet, Coach Chris. It took a while to hone down the positions that I think are the best ones, and I am going a little fast because I'm eager to get to the Kahoot, and I know it takes a little while for us to set it
Mm-hmm.
up. So in this one, guys, we're going to play a double check, and um, this is a position I composed for a puzzle contest at the National Open, but it starts out with 3 double checks before a checkmate. And a double check is when you move one piece to get a check, and that opens up a discovered check as well. So now there's 2 pieces checking the king. Now listen to this. This is important. Anytime it's a double check, the person has to move their king to get out of it because it's coming from 2 different directions. So you can't capture one piece because it's still checked from the other. And you can't block this piece because it's still checked from the other. So you always have to move the king. So we see that double check is the most powerful kind of check that's not a checkmate because they have to move the king. So white plays double check and black moves. And now another double check, opening up this bishop to check the king as well as the knight.
Wow.
So they have to move the king. And guess what? Here comes another one, double check, opening up the rook to check the king.
Wow.
And then finally, this one ends not with the double check, but with under promoting the knight for checkmate. And the bishop can't take it because it's pinned by the rook. So that was a very tricky position, but I just wanted to show you the power of double
Did it
check.
win it?
And so with double
Did
check,
it win a prize, Coach Jay? Did you win a prize for
well,
that?
this was I submitted this. This was part of the puzzle contest for the kids at the
Oh,
National Open. If you play in the National Open, then every year there's a puzzle contest, and the kids try to solve it. And I always start out with maiden ones, maiden two, three, and then finally mates and fours. And a lot of them have a theme like this one. This one's my double check and under promotion theme. So it's a bad night for black
yeah.
because all these
That
night checks.
incredibly creative composition there. Serena had another question, and I'll go ahead
Yeah,
and toss this one to Coach Shea. She's wondering any advice to figure out when we should play a check or not. So quick advice on that.
yeah, definitely, Serena. Only play a check if you're doing it for a reason. So don't play a check just because you like playing check. And that's the main reason that newer players play check is because it just like a fun thing to do, and they're like, okay, I can't figure out anything else to do, so I'll play a check. And Coach Chris and I know an old expression. It's called it's this expression is Patzer sees a check, Patzer plays a check, and a Patzer is somebody who's not really a chess student. They're not somebody who really is trying to improve and learn the game and get to be better at it. And so this expression means that if a patzer, if a player who's not a serious student of the game sees that they can play a check, then they definitely play it. And so every time you play a check, you should be thinking, am I being a patzer right now? Am I just playing the check for no reason? And so you want to make sure you have a reason. Is it leading to a fork? Is it deflecting your opponent's king? That means making him go where he doesn't want to go. Is it stopping your opponent from castling? Is it going to lead to a forced checkmate? Or is it going to buy you a move? These are the different reasons you might want to play a check. But you also would not want to play a check if it pushes your opponent's king to where he wants to go, or if your opponent gets to block the check and that actually helps their position. So, all right. This one's just a quick, fun one, and I think we'll be ready to get our chess hoots going. So black tries to do the same trick that Emery Tate did. He plays check, and now he thinks he's getting the queen, but white is going to use check back against black. Check, check, And now the
Wow.
king moves in to go after that pawn. So it was one player thinking that they knew exactly the right time to play check, but they forgot to look and realize that their opponent can also play check as well. So this was a nice turnaround, and white gets the victory instead of black. So, okay. This was my last position just because I wanted to show you Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Um, he's the top player from France, and he's playing black. He doesn't have a queen, but his opponent does. Oh, look, he can get a queen now with this pawn, but instead he plays a mate in 7. Check, check, check. Giving away the rook. Check, check, and checkmate. So just a beautiful checkmate by Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. And I just wanted to show you that if you have a series of checks that force your opponent to go where they don't want to go, maybe you'll be able to get a
And
checkmate.
dropping
Okay.
the pronunciation lesson again, Coach Jay. Very nice. Most of us just call him MVL.
Yeah, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Okay, so let's have a look. I am going to share my Kahoot screen now. And let's see if I can re-switch. Okay, switch my screen. Oh, look, first of all, this is my, let's see. Well,
Hmm.
maybe let's try this again. Hold on. I'm on it. I got this figured out.
Make it.
Okay. So this is it, I think it's, yeah, this is the Chess Hoots website, guys, that is gearing up, that will be ready soon. We're not quite ready to go yet, and you guys are going to be able to do all of the Chess Hoots in January for free.
What an
So,
amazing deal! I had asked. I had thought that we would give maybe top 3 in the group a free Kahoot subscription for January, and Coach Jay, being the super cool, generous guy that he is giving everybody in this camp, a free Kahoot subscription in January.
I hope they're excited as I am about it. Now, here's a funny thing. Coach Chris, is that my webmaster, the person that makes the website, is not a chess player. So I had to do some fixes, but they're not all done yet. If we look down at the bottom of this page, you can see the
Mm-hmm.
chessboard, and there's a little bit of a problem with the chessboard, isn't there?
Uh
If we look,
oh.
if
Yeah.
we look at the chessboard, the bottom right square should be a white square. Now you can tell that this chessboard's totally made up because it says H1, but H1 is supposed to be a white square. So I said, hey, we have to fix that picture. That's I can't have a chess website like that. And then they have different things on different pages. Some of the chess images are have like a king knocking over another king
Mm-hmm.
or things like that. So I said, okay, we can't have that. All right, so let's go to our our chess hoots. We're gonna present this. So if you guys know how to split your screen, now is the time to do that. You can split your screen, and we are going to bring up. There is your pin code to join. So you split your screen. Go to Kahoot.it. Go to Kahoot.it, and then you can put in the pin code there and pick your username, and then you'll start
And
popping
we'll,
up on the
we'll
screen.
we'll
And
go
make
ahead
sure
and
you're
type that
all,
in chat too, Coach Jay. It's
yeah. So
it's.
you can,
Coach Jay put it in the Skype chat for me.
Can you put that in the Skype chat for Megan because she's on a different computer,
yeah.
and then Megan will share it in our chat.
It looks like the kids are logging in very
Wow,
quickly.
good job, guys. I see. Whoa, you guys are better at logging in and splitting screens than Coach Jay and I are. That's for sure.
That's right.
This is fantastic and fun.
We've got 16 so far joining in. All right, we are
19 now. This is exciting and fun.
now, guys. Don't forget, it is possible that you can lose your connection. So be careful with that about losing your connection. If you don't know how to split your screen, I think that Coach Megan put it into the chat for you
Into
guys.
the daily assignments, we put
Oh,
for
daily
all the
assignments. Okay.
devices, and
Maybe,
also there are some tutorial videos there.
yes.
Because sometimes that can be
Sound,
tricky. Up to 23.
that's for
This is
sure.
fantastic. And if you're having problems doing it, you can also send an email to us right now. dailychessmusings@gmail.com. dailychessmusings@gmail.com. And we can give you some advice so that you can get this working.
And what I'll do at the end, guys, is put it in. I will give Coach Megan and Coach Chris a pin code for another chess hoots that you guys can do, and go check
Super.
that out. So
Up to 28 now. We'll give them just a few more minutes, Coach Shea, and
awesome.
while we're doing that,
yeah,
we can just have a fun chat, I suppose. So did you see that what's that young man's name from Russia? Daniel what's his?
Oh
yeah,
Dubov.
Daniel Dubov. Holy moly, that guy finished the year with a Queen Sacrifice win against Karyakin, and then yesterday he beats Magnus in speed chess. That young man is on fire.
He is. Dubov is definitely an amazing speed chess player, and I think the rest of his game is going to catch up. So there's a ton of players that I think will be able to challenge Magnus now. A couple years ago we weren't sure, but I love the way MVL plays. That we saw the end of his game. That game was actually from 2015, I think, or something like that. But or maybe even earlier. But MVL's been as high as number 2 in the world. And then, I think that there's, definitely guys like Wei Yi from China. He kind of slowed down his progress, but that happens. That's
especially
natural.
Especially during a pandemic year, right? I mean, it's been a little strange.
Yeah. So I'm sure he'll take another jump up in his chess. But there's just all these great players that are really young, that are showing a lot of promise and that are improving very quickly. I think the reason that so many players are improving quickly is just because so many opportunities online. Not only can they get coaching online, but there's just databases that they can use, and then there's fun tools like Chess Hoots that are going to allow people to be able to improve while having fun and in an efficient way.
Absolutely. And you mentioned some younger people improving quickly and starting to catch up. And I'm a huge Magnus Carlsen fan. And he's had an edge against his contemporaries. I mean, certainly Levon Aronian or MVL, some of these guys could challenge him, or Sergei Karyakin in another world championship. But I think what's really interesting is, for the first time maybe, and it's been maybe over this last year, Magnus Carlsen is no longer the young buck. He's gotten,
that's true.
There are a bunch of super talented players kind of in this next batch of players that came after him, and that is something that all great champions must overcome if they want to remain the champion. It's hard to remain king of the hill when all these guys you inspired are storming the mountain. Yeah. Yeah, so we're up to 36.
All right, I think we're ready to get started.
Cool, let's do it.
Okay, guys, here we go. Hang on tight. I am going to, let's see. All right, check when to play it and when not to play it. Hopefully you guys can see my board clearly. True or false? Black to move. True or false? Black should play rook d3 check to push white's king to the center. True or false?
True or false? Let me...
Should you do it? If you think you should not do it, say false. If you think you should play rook d3, hit true, the blue one.
Okay, so I moved our pictures out of the way so they can see now, and they have 43 seconds.
Oh, good, good.
So do you see them choosing their answers live on your thing, or does it just show you at the end of the 20 seconds, Coach Jay?
I just see how many have answered. So far, 24 have answered.
That's all. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it was all working the way it should.
Okay, 7 seconds, guys. Make your pick quickly. 5, 4, 3, hurry up. 2, 1. All right, so on this one, rook d3, not a good move because that forces the white king towards the center, which is where he actually wants to be in the endgame. So instead, black should either play rook takes b2, capturing this pawn, or maybe pawn takes pawn, the black pawn down at the bottom, capturing the white pawn that it can capture. All right, let's see who's in the lead, Coach Chris. Andrew, Gautam, Ant-Man, sideways face of no smile, and Papa. Okay. True or false number 2. White to move, true or false. White should push up the c pawn, c6, instead of rushing in with a check, rook e8. So if you think it's a good idea to push this pawn instead of playing a check, hit true. If you think you should play the check instead, hit false.
And you have 40 seconds. And this is how the Kahoot chess works. I think this is going to be a really successful chess tech learning, ed tech, chess tech learning platform. Obviously, Coach Jay can fill it in as fast as he can with lessons for a whole bunch of different levels of players. And I think this is going to be just an absolutely terrific product.
Well, I'm excited about it. I'm going to explain a little bit more about it while we do our next answer. This one is actually true. Yes, you want to push that pawn up to trap the king, so rook e8 is going to be checkmate on the next turn. All right. Gautam now is in the lead. Dragonfire 88. The face, Ant-Man, and Sandkalp. Sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. All right, we have a quiz now. You're going to pick one of these. Which check should white play? Should white play rook e8 check? Should white play pawn takes pawn, f takes g7 check? Or neither? Both are a waste of time. Which one do you think is the answer?
Fun stuff. And you've got 45 seconds to choose which rook e8 check, fx g7 check, or neither. And Coach Jay, you were going to tell us a little bit in this.
Yeah, so when they usually go to chess hoots, a lot of the chess hoots will start out with a video as the first question. So instead of a question, it'll actually have a video that teaches them the idea that they're going to need in order to solve the puzzles. So just like I just did a lesson for everybody about check, and now we're doing puzzles about check, it'll have a video, or it might have a slide, like a PowerPoint slide, a single slide that shows you the ideas. So, all right. So this one, a little tricky for people, but this is rook to e8, check, to deflect or pull the king over to that square. Then the pawn gets to capture the pawn, and next move, white will get a new queen. So in the lead right now, we have, somebody with a face that is neither smiling nor frowning. Unfortunately, Sunkalp is on fire, so hopefully we should call the fire department. Robux, Swanik, and Dragonfire 88. I bet Dragonfire wants to be on fire. Okay, another true or false. White should play bishop takes f7 check to stop black from castling later. So if you think in this position, white should play the bishop, captures the pawn for check, hit true. If you think instead maybe they could play knight takes or something, then hit false. If you think bishop takes is not a good idea.
This is such a neat product, Jay, and I like the way you're demoing it for us today because if for some reason one or two people were not able to join in time or do the screen split, they're still getting to see the lesson and the review questions. And so thank you. Thank you for...
Yeah, you bet. I think you're right. It's a good thing because it has a lesson, and also it's pushing you to come up with answers. Because a lot of times, if you just watch a video, nobody's asking you any questions. You're not really pushing your brain. This one forces you to push your brain. All right. So yeah, definitely don't take with the bishop because then they just move the king, and you're in trouble. Your knight has to leave, and your bishop is lost. So, okay. Not much change at the top with Dragon Fire moving up a bit. What will happen after white captures the B pawn with check? Okay, this one's tricky because we didn't cover it in the class. So what will happen after this rook captures the pawn with check? The first choice is white gains the advantage by winning 2 pawns because after the king moves, he'll take the G pawn. Or black's king is forced to the back rank. That would be the blue answer. If you think that black will win the knight by playing king in between the rook and the knight, king to c6, pick the gold one or yellow. And if you think that after the rook takes the pawn, white will win easily, pick the green.
4 choices.
Yeah, this is hard. I just wanted to show you that there's different levels of chess hoops. Some are easy, some are hard. But every week we'll release on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Each day we'll release 3 chess
Wow,
hoops.
you're going to be a busy man in 2021.
It's going to be a busy year. I'm excited. Okay, great job. A lot of people got this right. If a rook takes on, the king goes in between and forks your rook and knight. You're going to lose your knight. So nice work on that one. Oh, Swanik jumps to the top. Chess Guy 556, Mithram. Man, we had a big change on that one. All right, here we go. Question number 6, which is a smart check for white here? Which one is a smart check? Should we play the rook up to the top check? Should we play the queen to the dark square, g7 check? Should we play the queen all the way to the top to g8 check? Or are there no good checks here? So on the red one, it says rook up, king takes, and then queen to the top. On the gold one, it says queen up to the very top, and after the king takes, then move the rook up. So each week, Coach Chris, there's going to be 3 chess hoops on Monday, released 3 on Wednesday, and 3 on Friday. And those 3 are going to be fundamental level, progressive, and challenge. And fundamental is going to be a little bit lower than this, like for the most part. They'll be a little bit easier than these puzzles. And then progressive, each puzzle is going to get a little harder throughout the chess hoops. All right. Wow, nice job, guys. 12 people got this one right. Yeah, queen up, check. King has to take, and then rook up, checkmate. So very forcing moves. All right. Oh, now we have Serena, who was asking those great questions, has now made it onto the screen. Welcome, Serena. Okay. Question 7. It's a multi-select, so you can pick more than one answer. You should pick more than one answer. Why would white want to play this check? Knight to d6. Choose more than one. So got to think about this one. So once again, guys, I know some of these are really challenging, but this is just some levels that are going to be presented in the chess hoop. So fundamental level, progressive level, and also the challenge level, which will be a lot harder than these for players that have a lot more experience. Also, at the end, you guys can click on the Learn mode, and it presents all of the questions as flashcards. And then if you understand the idea, you can discard that flashcard and only keep in your little flashcard deck the ones that you want, so that you can keep going over those.
Cool. That is a really neat option.
Yeah,
So
that's gonna be like,
you can keep the ones that tricked you and review them at a later time to make sure that you aren't fooled by them again.
yeah. So on this question, we want to prevent them from castling, but also we do win the C pawn. So I think a lot of people miss that idea that it blocks the queen after the knight goes to d6. Then you can play d takes c5. All right, so this should change the leaderboard a bit.
Oops.
Did it? I don't see.
Hang on one second, Coach Jay. I'm unable to move my pictures all of a sudden because I'm moving the background.
Oh, okay.
How do I get it back where I can move my photos around, Megan?
Click on the picture.
Megan's Megan's gonna fix something real fast for us. So
all right, sounds good.
Moving.
Yeah, while Megan's fixing that, I want to explain also, guys. Every month we're going to have a master challenge at each level. So a master challenge is going to be 25 questions in your chess hoots, and we're going to look for the top scorers. And among the top scorers, we'll do a random drawing to get prizes. And if you're domestic, if you live in the United States, then you might get mailed a prize, like my book, Fried Liver and Burning Pants, or one of the books that you see back behind me, my Coach Jay's Chess Academy books. Or if you live internationally, then you might get a PDF version of one of these, where we'll send it to you, and you can just have that to be able to read on your tablet or whatever. Or you might be able to get a free month of Chess Hoots, some kind of prize like that. So every month we'll be able to have those prizes as well. So besides the idea that you can have the flashcards and learn from the flashcards during the review of those, we also have the Master Challenge every month, and all for what in the United States is about the same price as a latte. So a latte here costs about $5, so it'll be $5 a month. That will start up in February after you campers get your free month of January. Now, January, we're still, like I showed you with the website, we're still getting everything set up. So it may not be as consistent, but we'll do our very best to get all those chess hoots to you as quickly as we can. And you'll log into the site, and then the chess hoots will appear there, and it'll say you've been challenged, and then you can click on the one that you want to do. All right. Let me see what happens if I click on my screen. I'm going to click the next button. Coach Chris, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So question 8. Which of these 3 checks will eventually force a draw by repetition? So which of those 3 checks you see with the arrow, which one will force a draw by repetition? It'll be a perpetual check. Check, check, check. Should you go Queen C8, which is up and to the left, Queen D8, which is straight up, or Queen to E8? That would be the gold one, the white square on the right. Or if you think all of them will work, click the green.
I'm going to try and adjust the background a little bit real fast. There we go. I got the whole board. Super. Not only am I learning chess, Coach Jay, but I'm learning to fix my own OBS problems as well.
Amazing.
I'm not having to
10
call
seconds.
Megan over every question anymore. This is great.
5 seconds. Hurry. Answer, answer, answer. All right. So on this one, a lot of people tricked on this one. You had to play Queen C8 check so that your queen can get back to the F5 square check. And if they block with the G-pawn, you'll be able to take their F-pawn. All right. In the lead, Parmis, Malavi in the lead. Swanik, Dragon, Fire 88, Cooled Member, Mithran in the top 5. A lot of movement in the top 5. Why did White play this check? Why did White play this Rook E1 check? Is it because it wins Black's queen immediately? Or it'll prevent Black from being able to castle later? Or it leads to a forced checkmate in 2?
If you think that time is running out way too fast, that might have something to do with the live streaming being a slight delay. Um, I mean, it shouldn't because we have a countdown, but
Yeah, so when they see the countdown, by the time they see it, they're probably out of time. So 10 seconds probably means 5 seconds for you. So when I say 10 seconds left, I mean it probably for you it's 5. So this one, yeah, you needed the reason the rook checks is so that black can't castle. They don't have to give their queen away. They can just move the king. All right. Um, all right, things are moving around. Chess guy's back in the top 5. Okay, only 2 more questions. True or false? White can use a check to stop black's pawn from safely promoting. Is that true or false? White can use a check to stop black's pawn from safely promoting. By the way, this one only was 30-second question, so we only are down to 15 seconds now.
okay, answer quickly.
Hurry up, answer now. Pick one or the other, quickly.
You got a 50-50 chance.
All right, nice. The people that did answer mostly got it right. Yeah, the knight can jump into d5 check, picking up a tempo, like a free move, and then down to c3 to stop the pawn from safely promoting. All right, things are shaking up. There we go. We've got Parmis is still in the lead. Nice job. Last question, true or false? White has just played a double check, knight to d6 check. Black can either capture the rook, capture the knight, or block the check. True or false? Black is in a double check. So maybe they could capture the rook, maybe they could capture the knight, maybe they could block the check. Is that true?
True or false? And you have a fair amount of time on this one.
Yeah, we still have 30 seconds left. And sometimes the questions will be open questions where you have to type in your answer as you get to the higher levels of questions. Sometimes they're a puzzle. You have to put them in the right order.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different kinds of questions that you will see with this. So I'm going to put in the chat, I'll throw it in the chat to you guys and you can share it, a notation Kahoot.
Okay.
So, all right. So let's see who our top 3 finishers are to start. First of all, in this one, when you are in double check, you have to move the king. So this was definitely false. You can't capture the knight or the rook. And you can't block it when you're double check because it's coming 2 ways. You have to move the king. Okay, so in third place, Dragonfire 88. Nice job, Dragonfire. In second place, the silver medal could member, and the gold medal goes to Parmes Malavi. Great job, Parmes. And our runners-up, Mithran and Chess Guy. All right, well done, everybody. Well done. Okay, I am going to pop out of that, and let's see. Escape from there and resize my screen. Hopefully. There we go. So now I can go into the chat and put the notation. I threw that in your chat, so you can turn around and share that in your chat, Coach Chris.
We'll go.
And Coach
We'll go ahead and do that right now. And this is going to be a lesson on notation, you said?
Yeah, that one's
fantastic.
It's a chess hoots about notation, and that way people can get practice so that those moves like knight to d6, they can get know exactly what that means and know how to write down when your b pawn captures on c6 versus when your bishop captures on c6, and how to write down promotion and castling queenside and stuff like that. So all those different answers. Okay.
Yeah, and it's such a valuable skill to learn because chess.com just got its 50 millionth member. Yeah. And we even have players from all over the world. We have Nigeria's been very active. Hong Kong area has been active. Greece. We have players from all over the world in this chess camp, and we all use the same language. We all use the same chess notation. So this is a great lesson. Even if you already think you know how to notate, you should do that lesson just to make sure, because I know, knowing Coach Shea, that he's throwing in a few of those tricky situations in that lesson as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I do want to point out, if you're from a country that speaks a different language, then the notation, the code letters for the pieces will be different. So, if you are from a Spanish-speaking country, for example, then the king is El Rey, and so it's going to start with an R, and the R is not going to stand for rook, it's going to stand for king. And the queen is La Dama, and so we use D for the queen. Bishop is Alfil, so it's an A, capital A. Rook is Torre, so you put a T, and the knight is Caballo, so you use a C. So different language letters, but it's definitely going to give you the idea, and I think everybody will be able to understand, using their own language, how to notate that. So
absolutely, absolutely. And one of the neat things I learned recently was I thought that algebraic notation was just the notation we're using now just recently came about in my lifetime, because so many of my books are written in descriptive. But I was flipping through some of my old Russian language books, even from the 1800s, and they were using algebraic notation.
Yeah,
it's very fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, in other countries they've been using it a lot longer than we have here. So guys, I hope that you also check out my YouTube channel. There's going to be some more advanced ones coming, but make sure you check this out, because I'll keep loading up new videos every week. So subscribe to the channel, and then that way, after you subscribe to it, you'll be able to continue to gain knowledge through the website here, with even some videos that won't be featured in the Chess Hoots. So you can check that out as well.
And your YouTube channel is just called Chess Hoots, correct?
Chess Hoots.
Yep, there it is, right on your screen right now, Chess Hoots. And what we will do is obviously include links to that on all of our stuff for the students or anybody else who happens to stumble through.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. It was a great opportunity to get to teach you. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Have a fantastic new year, and enjoy the rest of your camp today. I'll be with a different group, and I hope that everybody stays safe out there. So
awesome.
That's it for me, Coach Chris.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach Shea, and chess campers. Thank you so much for participating in this lesson, and I will see you later on today.
Check you later, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.